Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mumbai Angels Network Spotlight. We at the MA Network have been working towards empowering our community with our knowledge sharing sessions in the new normal. The session for today answers the pertinent question how virtual CFOs have emerged as a need of the hour for growing businesses. The session will be hosted by Alok Patnia, Managing Partner of Tax Mantra Global. Alok has 20 years of experience in global tax and structuring, fundraise, M&A, and CFO advisory. He is also an early stage angel investor and growth strategist. Tax Mantra is a global tax and legal firm with its presence in India, Singapore, and the USA. Involved in setting up businesses, cross border tax, and legal compliance with fundraising assistance, the premise of Tax Mantra Global has always been digital first from its inception. Technology adoption at Tax Mantra goes a long way to build a future ready tax and law firm. This is the reason that tech companies globally work with Tax Mantra, and so do corporate accelerators and venture capitalists. We request you to keep your devices on mute to ensure you can hear Alok clearly. Also, please send in your questions via chat and he will answer it during the Q&A session. The session for today is divided into 40 minutes of a presentation on the topic, followed by the Q&A. Without taking further time, over to you, Alok. Let's begin.
Thanks, Shivangi, for the introduction and for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to partner in with Mumbai Angels, and you guys are doing very well in terms of creating so many knowledgeable sessions in the last 4 months, and it's been a very refreshing to attend some of your sessions. So thanks, team Mumbai Angels, and uh, hi everyone. Thanks for joining in for today's webinar and the talk. It's today we are talking about do small businesses and startups and growing businesses, do they require a CFO, and what role a CFO can play in their growth trajectory. So let me just share the presentation which I have for you. Uh, just a second. Yeah. So the the point of discussion which we have today is in terms of uh, are virtual CFOs really need of hour for growing businesses? And just to give you a brief intro and breaks to this, what has happened in the last 4.5, 5 months in the COVID time is that everything has gone digital now, uh, and digital adoption has accelerated by at least 1 decade, if not by 2 decades. And today, in today's world, if you do not change with time and in terms of what's happening, because the world has become very dynamic, things are changing at a lightning speed, not only in terms of business dynamics, but also in terms of how you do a business, and mostly from a financial point of view also. Now, why do you need a CFO? To let me first tell you what all we will cover today. So we will cover the role of CFO in driving digitalization in compliance and operations. We'll also talk about adopting operating model and building finance capabilities for digital age. We will throw some light on cash flow management and liquidity, which will be very important for you at this point of time, considering COVID situation and most of the businesses are struggling with their revenues and profitabilities and the business growth. And we will also talk about few lines about how we are helping businesses in these difficult times in their navigation. So let's first start. So uh, this is basic data which we have collated, which says that even today, so this data was 85% when in the month of March, that 85% of the finance head or CFOs in small and medium-sized businesses, growing businesses, they were not prepared for COVID, and they didn't had the backup plan, didn't had the alternatives in terms of what would happen if if their current revenue stream stops, or if their clients do not pay, or what is the finance runway, what is the revenue runway, what is the working capital they have, are they working on a working capital plan? So there has been more uh, awareness, but still 50% of uh, finance head and CFOs are still clueless about what they're going to do. So let's start. I understand that we have a very diverse audience today, and we have startups and growing businesses, some of the founders from mature businesses also. So I have kept it in that fashion. But if you have any queries on anything, you can. We will always be open to the Q&A session. So let me first start with my experience. So in the last 20 years, what I have noticed is that larger businesses which are listed on stock exchanges, businesses have uh, which have grown over decades, they have this liberty to have a CFO, a person who is dedicated to the finance, and we call it GRC, governance, risk, and compliance uh, parameters. So they have those kind of systems and processes in place. So when the COVID hit, I have this saying that COVID will make powerful more powerful and weaker more weak. The reason being, why do I say that? And that is purely from a finance perspective. If small and medium sized businesses and growing businesses, they do not understand what is the importance of a structured way of doing the financial compliance and everything. So, so today the 99 prior to COVID, 90% of the businesses, small and medium sized businesses, how do they operate? So they have someone at the junior level who would do the basic compliances, basic data entry, and then they would have a chartered accountant who would come once in a year and would do the audits and would do the filing. The challenge with that system was that there it was always reactive, and there was always a postmortem rather than constructive and planning. So today, so the biggest challenge for small and medium sized business even today is that the leader or the CEO doesn't have data to take right decisions. They don't have the right information. They don't have the right reporting. For instance, what is their working capital, how much money they have to run, what are the expenses they need to switch off, what are the cap expenses, what is the variable expenses they need to switch off. I'm just giving you example of COVID time. There may be four different revenue streams, and uh, the three revenue streams might not be giving them profitability, but they continue to have that revenue stream because no one told them. No one has actually gone into data to analyze that which revenue stream is giving them more profitability. So, the biggest challenge for small and medium sized businesses in India is that the leaders, the founder, the CEO, they don't have the data or the information because the system is not there to capture the data. So traditional CFOs compliance still rely on very traditional methods of productivity tools such as Spitset, Tally. They don't have they don't work from a month to month, from a cash flow system. Every business on this planet should operate on a cash flow basis and not on a profitability basis. Profitability is secondary. The first thing is cash flow. You need to recover money from your clients. You need to know what is your burn ratio. You need to know how much burn you have every month or how much profit you have and from which streams you have. So the businesses need to run on cash flow. As I said, there is hardly any reporting capabilities, and they end up spending days on identifying missed compliances. uh, in today's world, you have global revenue, you have expenses which you need to pay expenses which is outside India. You don't know what are the RBI compliances, you don't know what are the FEMA compliances. So those challenges are there. And uh, if you would have noted in the last I would say 3 years of this government, 3 4 years of this government, the number of regulatory changes which we have seen, we have not seen those kind of changes in last 10 years. I mean, in the last 12 months, we had 3 to 4 annual budgets like announcements. Uh, in COVID days, we had so many due dates changing. We don't know. Even me, I am a tax professional. I'm an expert. Even I get confused at times as to what are the due dates now, which is being implemented. So, so those things are very important, and that's the reason you need to have someone who would be able to ensure that your compliances are on track. Uh, so why a Forbes report suggests that small and medium-sized businesses more than anyone requires virtual CFOs. Now, why do they require virtual CFOs? The reason is very simple. The reason they require virtual CFOs are because they should not and cannot, and they should not hire full-time CFOs. Now, it doesn't make sense for them to do that because still they may not require services of a full-time CFO. So then if they don't require a full-time CFO, should they go for a part-time or a virtual CFO? And that's where the things comes in. And we just move to the next point. This just explains in terms of complex new age business structure and why traditional business and compliance person may not be the right person. One of the important data point which I have noticed is that now in India, you have startups, you have interesting startups which can be the next Google and Facebook of world from India. They are coming up from B tier and smaller towns. Now the challenge is that they still rely on their neighborhood chartered accountant or a lawyer, but that chartered accountant or lawyer may not be an expert on global taxation, on cross border taxation, or on funding aspects. So that's the reason it becomes more important for those businesses to take right advice and to see whether they can go for a virtual CFO, which can be taken online. I have already discussed about reactive approach. One more thing which I noticed that small and medium-sized businesses, mostly in India, they are not structured. So there is no system of how they will keep the data in the system. What are the processes? Is there a process? Is there a system to track compliances? Uh, as a leader of the business, whether they know that these are the compliances, these are the due dates, these are the things, how do we work, this is the process, this is the flow of the business, this is how the data will flow, this is how invoices will flow. Everything can be automated in today's world. There are different taxes. So for instance, there is a new levy on e-commerce which has come in. Equalization levy scope has been increased. There is in GST there are complicated issues like reverse charge. Now there are foreign payments. Now whether you deduct TDS and you do reverse charge or not. So I think the process flow and data is very critical from that perspective. One more thing which is very important, which every business, growing business, would require is that there is a difference between legal solution and business solution. Now, as a business owner, someone will come and tell you that ये नहीं हो सकता है, this is not possible. But what is more important for you to know that what is possible and how this can be done. So solution-oriented strategy needs to be brought in, and that can be done when you have someone who is independent, who is not part of your team, who can see your compliances and your growth strategy from a independent eye, and that person can actually give you a more productive and self-correcting and intelligent decisions, can help you to do that. Uh, Let me just, so this is in today's world, in the digital space wherein we live. So what are the key roles CFO will actually play? So I think the first and the most critical role which a CFO plays in today's world is to ensure that the company is on top of the finance. When I say on top of the finance, that basically means the first is the compliances. Now, compliances, earlier, the role of a compliance manager or a CFO was just to do compliances, just to do timely compliances. For them, it was just a number. But the impact of a particular number which goes into a return filing and which you are disclosing to the government needs to be analyzed. So I think the scope of a CFO or a finance head is expanded like anything, wherein from just a spectator wherein would just file data to the government, now he's analyzing data. Now he is a data source for many decision making. And that's the reason we say that today uh, every business needs to take a call on the business decisions based on the data which they have, and which small businesses still don't do. So, and they are very much part of the board. They are very much part of the strategic advisor to the CEO. They would ensure that there is a timely financial reporting which is done. Now, considering that you had a CFO vis-a-vis you didn't had a CFO in the COVID situation, what difference it will make if you have a CFO? Now, if you have a CFO, suppose in the month of March, April, even if today, if you have a CFO, the first thing in the COVID situation you should do is to analyze your cash flow. You draw your cash flow and you see that in next 6 to 8 months, where you are today, what is your monthly expenses. You break monthly expenses into fixed expenses and into variable expenses. Fixed expenses like your office expenses, your other fixed expenses, and break it down and then analyze whether some of the fixed expenses can be stopped. For instance, if you are working from home, can you can you take a quick call? Can you ask your CFO to just analyze whether force majeure clause is can be used for my office? Can I stop paying rent? Can I there are so many contracts which I have signed. Can I is there a force majeure clause wherein that can safeguard me from a financial liability? That because your CFO will also help you from going into unnecessarily into different financial liabilities. So cash flow is done. Now you once the cash flow is done, you have controlled your expenses. You know that in next 6 to 8 months, this is how I'll spend. This is the money I have today, and this is I'm giving you just a simple example what normally a CFO would have done. So this is the money I have. This is the expenses I have. I have stopped. These are the expenses. These are the variable expenses which I will continue to have. They will get into a discussion to understand if you are running digital ads, marketing ads, whether you should continue, whether you should stop. There are various business development campaign what you are doing. Second thing is so we have suggest for example we have suggested many businesses to get into a variable pay component with your employees. Today, for instance, most of the businesses, most of the service industry, at least they are working from home. Now, when you're working from home over a period of time, the flexibility comes in because you are not actually working uh, that much number of hours, or you are actually not working from 9 to 7 or something. But at the end of the day, the company is happy because you are able to give the output and produce what is required or do what is required. Now, we have, so one of the things which you have suggested to our company's portfolio company is to talk to your employees and get into a variable pay, get into an hourly or a variable pay. So someone who is working more will be motivated to have more revenue, more income, more salary. Because from our experience, what we have seen is that this work from home model is working very well for a part of employee, maybe 50, 60%, 70% of the people, because they're enjoying the flexibility. They're enjoying the flexibility of working from home, working anytime they want to work, and their productivity has increased. But then there are 20-30% people who always wanted to have come to office, have physical space, go out, talk to friends, have lunches together. Their productivity over a period of time is going down because they are not liking now to work from home. So I think those calls, those innovative ways of managing your expense is one part. The second part, when we come to the revenue part, now revenue, you have to find out which are the revenue streams which is giving you profit but may not have huge revenue. For instance, the ticket size may not be large, but it's still giving you 20-30% profit and cash profit. And then there are contracts which are big in ticket size, but they are taking a lot of time. The gestation period is large, the sales order period is large, and they are not giving you return, but you are still spending your resource, your manpower and everything in executing those contracts. So you have to take a call whether you need to stop some of those large contracts wherein you are actually continue to burn and you are not generating any cash. So those segregation of revenue stream is so important for small and medium sized businesses because they do not have the liberty of Hindustan Levers and large funded startups that they can continue to burn money for next 15 months. So I think that is important. Then the next thing is, what are the new revenue streams which you can think about, which will ensure that you have more revenue and you have instant revenue. So one of the portfolio companies in our case, I can give you an example. So they are a HR consulting firm. They are very large. So they used to have offices in all the big cities, and there used to be 10-15 people in each city. So I told them that now you really don't need those offices. Even one head office is fine, and maybe 2-3 people can work from their home, and you really don't need regional offices. The second thing which was very interesting, because now people are more open to hire remotely. If you do not get right product guy, if you do not get right engineering guy, you are actually open to hire people from Ukraine, from Eastern Europe and other places. So I told them that why don't you get into a business tie up and from with local HR agencies, these countries, and talk to your clients that we can actually give you remote employees from countries and from for these kind of skill sets which they were not focusing earlier, because they were very focus in terms of local hiring and in terms of uh, physical employee. So those kind of innovative things which is very much required, and these are the things a CFO will able to tell you as a CEO, whether you 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 employ, you manage your operations, you manage your employees, you manage your bank, you manage your finance, you manage your compliances. It's very difficult for you to also get into these interesting and innovative things and execute these things, because and then the time will get wasted, and then you will realize that you have wasted 4 months, you have burnt uh, quite chunk of money, and now you're at a risk stage. So I think digital CFO and the importance of digital CFO has increased more so in the last 4.5 months. So we'll talk about compliances. I've already discussed about compliances in terms of a digital CFO or a CFO will, and in today's world, so I was talking to someone from Razorpay, and we just signed a partnership wherein they have just launched their payroll and vendor management software. It's a cloud-based software. So I was talking to them, and we were doing a webinar, and I told them that I gave them an example that in today's world, uh, so 15 days back, I think a month back, one of my I know a founder, and he said that I have to go to office for 4 days, 3 days in the first week of the month or the last week of the month because I need to process salary. I said, for processing salary, why do you need to go to office, or I need to process the vendor payments? Because they were still doing the check payments, they were still doing the Excel salary sheet, and they were still doing those ESI, PF calculations and those things. I said, everything can be automated. You don't really need to do that. At Tax Mantra, you will be surprised to know that from 18th of March till date, we have not opened our office, where everyone is working from home, and there is no challenge which we face. So why I'm bringing this point to you is that in today's world, your complete compliance, payroll, taxation, business reporting, everything can be automated and can be done in a proper manner. Today, if in today's world you are still uh, working on some Excel sheets and tally, and there is no connect between the reports, then I don't know how a business will actually go to the next level and have the rocket growth. So I think let's talk about some of the operating models, and I think I have covered these things when I was talking. Uh, but let's run through these things. So what is more important in today's world is that you have to work in a way which is very data oriented, and which gives which is there is a reason for every decision which you make. You can't just do something as a trial and error. In As I say, in India, in most of the small and medium sized businesses, most of the decision making at the senior level, at the management level, is based on the trial and error. The risk or the bet which they have is so small that even if it fails, that doesn't impact us. But the challenge is that they end up taking wrong decisions. So so that's the reason we say that you have to be data oriented, and you have to have the right operating model for that. I think these things I have already covered in terms of simplifying process through automation, uh, through analytics. Analytics is so important. Big data is so important now. Uh, so, so you have, for instance, I give you example. You have data which were there on the first week of the March or April, and you see that there is a pattern that one of the client is not paying you on a month to month basis. Now, you at what level you actually say that I will stop servicing to this client? If you are a company which has got just 4 or 5 clients, just 5 7 invoices in a month, it's very easy for you to control or to review. But if you have 200 300 400 clients, multiple invoices, how do you know that which client is paying you on time, which client is not paying you? What is the payment pattern which you have? So, and which is the client wherein you need to say no? How do you calculate the new credit line which is there? So I think these are very important. Uh, so let's discuss some of the tools. So Bharat, so let's first discuss some of the problems which businesses were facing in terms of managing liquidity at this point of time. As I was saying that there is a massive impact on the cash flow of the businesses. Reduced revenue, delayed collection is a common phenomena today in the COVID times. uh, there is an unclear position in terms of cash flow, because even if your client is not directly impacted by COVID, just out of fear of unknown, they are preserving cash and not paying you on time. Also understanding whether you require some kind of funding, some kind of loan, some kind of debt which you require. How many of you know the exact importance of MSME registration, the loan scheme which the government has proposed for MSME registration, and how many of you has actually taken the benefit of SME loan? If you require a short-term funding, that's a great thing, because it's at a reduced, unheard interest rate, moratorium. 100% guaranteed by the government. So I think you need to understand in terms of bank cost analysis. Again, invoicing. So invoicing, data management, vendor management, your data, credit reporting, everything, the payment system, everything should be automated. Everything should be automated in today's world. I think these are. I'm not sure whether these things are important for our businesses, but factoring is a very innovative thing which has come in now. So suppose you have an invoice, which is you have a data, which is a good data, but that company will take 4, 5, 6 months to pay you. You can actually go to a bank and get it discounted for a 5 or 8% discount and get that money now. Uh, Another phenomena which we're seeing is cash pooling now. That is also, we can discuss this later if there's a paucity of time. Uh, so let us now understand in terms of how we are doing and what we do as a firm. So we, as Shivangi explained, that we're a global tax and legal firm. We are based out of India, Singapore, and US, and we are not just a tax firm or a legal firm. We uh, travel through the complete tax and regulatory life cycle of a business, from setting up to CFO services, helping in fundraise, global structuring, and we do provide different kind of services, and as Shivangi said, that we are digital first as a firm, and we do uh, provide lot of services, which is, for instance, none of our clients at the COVID time, they need to worry about their compliances. Not for a single day our operations have been impacted. uh, so I've already told in terms of what we do. uh, so we help business plan assistance. It's a strategy and governance. uh, we help in budgeting, forecasting, and sensitivity analysis. We also do that. We help in the cost management, cash flow, and we have helped close to more than 50 businesses in the COVID time to actually come out of the crisis from a liquidity perspective. And I think we should open for Q&A, Shivangi, now. I think let's give more
Yes,
time.
sure, Alok. So please share your questions for Alok via the chat window. Or if you wish to ask him directly, please raise your hand and I will unmute your mic. So Alok, while the questions are queuing up, we have one question which we get from a lot of startup founders here at MA. How does one actually go through the process of engaging a virtual CFO? What are the benefits versus actually bringing somebody on board full time? Could you shed light on some of that?
Yeah, so for a growing company, Shivangi, it's there is no standard parameter in terms of at what stage you should actually hire someone in house, and or go for a virtual CFO, flexible CFO. The answer to this is in terms of whether you have to clearly define the role and the job description and the help which you require. So initially, if I have to advise, I would say that businesses should first hire a virtual CFO, understand what a CFO can do for them, pick up few problems, couple of problems which if the CFO can help to address, and then see whether it makes sense to hire someone full time. But most of the businesses up to Series A, to my mind, if you talk about startups, would be fine with a virtual CFO.
Okay, great. So we have one question from Swati Singhania. What are the most suggested platforms to network for virtual CFO organizations?
So there are so let me also bring in one perspective here. So why virtual CFO? Because Shivangi also asked why virtual CFO. So see, uh, in today's world, when businesses, the business models are getting uh, impacted and they are getting uh, changed, and there's so dynamic environment which we live in, today, you would always require someone who would have a bird's eye, not only in the internal risk which your business would have, but also external risk which may be there. And because of that, you need someone independent to analyze and help you to grow your business. So that's the reason it's very similar to a trading help on stock market, whether you can do it yourself or you can take help from experts. It's very similar on those lines. In terms of networking, where you get, so there are different service providers who provide virtual CFO. What you have to be very careful is in terms of each CFO would have their expertise. Some would be very good in the traditional businesses, some would be very good in brick and mortar business models, some would be good in e-commerce, and some would be good in how a app works. So a app business or a tech business works in a very different way. So you have to find out the right mix in terms of what help you need and what and the person you choose.
Right. Thanks, Alok. The next question is from Dilip in terms of data security. So when you have a virtual CFO and who would have access to a lot of confidential and sensitive information, how is the data security aspect handled by companies?
Yeah, so that's a good question. See, data security first, uh, uh, from a risk perspective, you should always have an agreement. You should have a proper agreement in terms of what you are sharing with that person and how and usage of the data which the person would do. You should have a proper agreement in terms of what you're doing. However, a virtual CFO is like a problem solver for you, and till the time you do not share data with him, so there is a saying that with chartered accountant, doctors, lawyers, and if you have to be transparent, and you have to find out, and you have to believe that that person will ensure that data is not compromised. One is your agreement which you sign, and also the trust which you build, and that's the reason it's always better to pick up a problem and get it solved and then move completely and take services. Uh, but on a different thought process, see, data is the security of data is overrated in the sense that what data you're talking about. If the data, so personal data or company specific data is something which is critical. You have to be very careful about it. But in terms of big data, it really doesn't have an impact, because at the end of the day, we knowingly unknowingly share data with many other people also.
Right. Thanks, Alok, for that providing more clarity on that. The next question is from Sumit Shah, who wants to know what happens when a virtual CFO leaves. I mean, what about in terms of continuity, handing over, so that the organization's business doesn't suffer, and how does
So
one handle that aspect of it?
yeah, so it's a very interesting question, and that's the reason when you hire a virtual CFO, you should go to an organization, because if you have a contract with an organization, then you are safeguarded with data also, and you are safeguarded with the continuity also. Then it becomes a responsibility of that organization to give you uh, another CFO if that particular CFO leaves.
Okay. So then in that case, you would not recommend going to a certain individual as virtual CFO?
There is so the positive is that it can be more personalized. The negative is that after a point, that person would have limitation of knowledge also. That person might not be as professional as an organization can be, and also in terms of continuity.
Right. Thanks, Alok. We'll move to the next question. We'll just wait for a minute.
Yeah.
So the next question is from one of our audience. What about the cultural adaptation to individuals in terms of, and in fact, Nishta has asked the same question. Basically, how does this virtual CFO integrate with the rest of the company? Because where smaller businesses are concerned, a lot of the businesses are still run on the interpersonal equations between the key team members, and how does that a virtual role then fit into the scheme of things?
Mm-hmm. See, as far as I also read that question. As far as the culture and the jugaad part, uh, I think jugaad is a hindrance to our growth and not a skills. Is not a positive thing for India, because India is known for its jugaad culture. I tell you why. Uh, Earlier, what used to happen, say 4 or 5 years back, most of the compliances were offline. Till 2013, 12, 13, most of the compliances were online. For the first time, income tax return filing became online in 2006. And today, if you talk about today in 2020, most of the 100% of the compliances are online. Earlier, when you miss a compliance, you would do a jugaad. You talk to a chartered accountant, and the chartered accountant will ensure that a report can be, or a return can be backdated, filed. Today, you can't do it. I mean, if you have missed a deadline, if you have missed something, you have missed it. And that's the reason there is so much of talk about GST penalties, GST interest. I can give you one interesting example. So I was reviewing a financial of a company, and they were incurring 20 lakh rupees every year just on interest with governments, with different tax authorities, because either they were paying late, they were refiling the returns. And I said that if you spend even 25% of that money to hire a professional, you not only save that money, but you also have a lot of value added services. So that's a mindset which we need to work on. In terms of culture, see, uh, it's a change which I accept, that there is a change in there, and but we have to, maybe to start with, someone has to play an anchor role, wherein that person will ensure that all the departments are uh, coordinated in a such a way that we, after a point, we start getting result. So the sales function, the purchase function, the digital marketing, the growth, the cash collection. Once a person takes up the system, and one of the thing which virtual CFO does, or one of the thing which you should ask a CFO to do from day one, is one of the biggest challenge for small and medium sized businesses is that they don't have a process. Now, if they don't have a process, the system also fails. So I can give you so many examples, and many of the businesses feel that just by having a software, or just by subscribing to a software, their problem will be solved. But the challenge is that they need to first define processes for each and every function. Once you define processes for each and every function, for instance, अगर एक lead आता है, if there is a new lead which comes in the company, how that lead will be taken up, who would take it up, how the complete process will happen. So once that process is defined, I think the cultural challenges will be minimized. One of the biggest challenge for small and medium sized businesses to not grow and not go to the next level is because they don't have processes. And after a point, they spend a lot of time on software. They say Salesforce कर लेते हैं या SAP कर लेते हैं, and let's do something. But automation doesn't work if they don't have a process. They first need to define a process, and then the process can be taken over by automation.
Sure. So next, Alok, is a follow-up question continuing on this integration part itself. What about in terms of the strategy? How does the CFO integrate into the business strategy? Because when we look at it at a company level, the CFO is also a key team member in looking at the business strategy of the company in conjunction with the CEO. So how does that work out? So is he there only in the virtual CFO's case for certain finance projects, or is he there and for discussion for other aspects of the company as well?
No, it would differ from company to company, Shivangi. So suppose a company initially would require a lot of time, wherein the virtual CFO need to spend because he needs to set up some of uh, the the rule lines and processes. Once that is set up, then he will come in to start addressing problems, or if there are some specific needs which are required. For instance, and that's the reason I said that you do not need a full-time CFO, because after a point, once the initial processes has been set up, once the flow has been set up, you will realize that maybe one day in a week, or maybe 10 days in a month is more than enough for you to have a CFO, because you don't need more than that, because at the end of the day, that's what you need. So once that is done, then you need to find out problems and how those problems can be resolved. One of the problems can be that you have a new product line or a service line, and you say that you need to have, maybe you need to have this much of money which you need to raise to actually go and build on this product line or service line. So how do you do that? So then the CFO comes in and starts solving your specific need. So
Sure.
it's very much dependent on a company to company basis. And we have some of the portfolio clients wherein we have given them full-time CFO, wherein the CFO is working on that company for 5 6 days, or in a week, depending on the workload and depending in terms of what. So for instance, there are a couple of deals which we are working in, and now there are, so in those deals is about to get closed. So then it's a 24/7 job. But then there are days when the CFO doesn't have any role because things are set up now. It's also, from that perspective also, a virtual CFO helps, because you pay only for the time that person is actually putting in.
So thanks, Alok. That actually makes it quite clear. So are there any more questions for Alok? Otherwise, we can close this session here. Alok, would you like to make any closing comments?
Uh, Nothing specific. As I said that from my, first of all, I want to thank Mumbai Angel, Shivangi, Samir, the team, everyone for organizing this webinar. I know that you guys are having difficulty in Mumbai, not only with COVID, which was there, and now with rain. And thanks for doing that. Uh, continue to continue to have these kind of sessions. That it really helps. I have also uh, been part of few of the sessions. The second part is in terms of the topic which we had today. See, it really, from a small and medium sized businesses, you have to start thinking in terms of what is stopping you from growth. And from our experience, we have seen that not taking right financial decision, not having the right processes in build, not thinking thoroughly in terms of what will happen, and analyzing about B plans, funding, those things really impact your growth. So that's where the CFO comes in. Small and medium sized businesses always think that maybe this is not the right time, we need to grow more to have a CFO, but it's a catch 22 situation. You, to grow, you need someone, an expert's help, rather than you hire someone when you grow.
Right.
So more so for businesses wherein the founders are from tech field, they are not from the finance field. They, many startups, they stuck at an angel stage, they get stuck at pre-angel stage, and they don't know what they should do to move and go and raise series A, series B. They don't know. They also don't know. They may be very good in their domain, but they don't know how to raise capital, how to talk to investor, what are the things they should do. So I think it's very important to take help from experts. And Uh, uh, I think that's it. Nothing from my side, and thanks everyone for joining in today. And if you have any queries, anything, you can get in touch with us. I have, if you want, I can ping you my email ID. Just a second, and you can go to Tax Mantra also, and we will be more than happy to help you if you have any requirements.
Sure. I would like to, on this note, I would like to thank Alok and Tax Mantra Global for accommodating this session in his schedule. Alok has been quite busy in the last week, and also for sharing his experience, insights, and his wealth of knowledge with us here. In case you have any questions, please do get in touch with him and he'd be happy to answer them. We look forward to seeing you at the reboot session on cryptocurrency tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. IST. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.